Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Martin Chera. My company is Express Capital Financing. We're joined here with Oak Andrews from DealMachine. Just to give you, we want to introduce myself. We are real estate lenders. We're direct. We specialize in ground up construction, fix and flips, as well as 30-year permanent financing. And Oak Andrews is from DealMachine. That I guess you'll give you a presentation, your insights, and your overview of what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me today. My background is a very small time investor, power lifter, educator. So that's kind of what I do with my free time. Father of two, so I don't have a lot of free time. But what I like to do most is talk about DealMachine and just really help educate people who are either brand new to real estate investing or they're looking to get their next 3 to 5 deals a month. Everything I'll talk about today, you don't need us for. Absolutely not. We're going to make your lives a lot simpler, a lot easier, a lot faster. But everything I'll cover today is really just kind of how to go off market and find those really deeply discounted deals. I'll have a little bit of a presentation. I can do a demo. But really what I like to do is start off, everyone kind of drop in the Q&A or the chat where you're from. Like give me an idea of where you're from. What do you like to do for fun? If you're new, if you've done a deal, if you're doing 100 deals a month, what's your story? So kind of give us a little shout out because there will be a little bit of participation where I'm going to need your help during the demo. I could talk all day long. I can look in Indiana and my neighborhood all day long, but nobody cares about Zionsville or Terre Haute, Indiana, right? So we're going to start doing some of that kind of stuff. I see Jay's over in Jersey. He's new. Welcome, Jay. Excited to show you a little bit about what you can do. What we're going to cover definitely can help people who are brand new, like I said, or if people are looking for a new channel, less competition, and just try and figure out how they can do better in this market. The market's always changing, right? No matter where you're at, it's constantly changing. So we got Chris.
And just to add, I just want to add, everybody, folks, after you're putting in what Oak is asking for, put in your questions in the Q&A, and then we'll get to them at the end of the webinar. We'll address everything. Keep in mind, this is information from his company and all that. As always, do your own due diligence on every deal that you're working on. This is only a consultative approach.
Yes, and typically what I find is a lot of the questions you have, I'll answer towards the end. I'm trying to share my screen. It's not letting me share my screen. If you could.
Let me if you need my help.
Yeah, I need to have access to that. Can you grant me access to share?
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
It doesn't. There is no. There's no giving you access.
Okay.
Maybe because I am the host, maybe.
You can usually click on me and make me a co-host, or you can give me brief access. Usually, if you click on like the three dots on the top right corner, does it give you anything like that on my face?
Click on. Say it again. What am I looking for? Make the co-host?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Perfect. There it is.
Okay.
Love it.
Sorry about that.
Hey, no worries. All right. So you can see my screen okay now? Should say welcome. Perfect. All right. So really just have a brief slide deck that I'm going to kind of show you guys how to find deep off-market deals. Again, everything I talk about, you don't need DealMachine to do. We're just going to make your lives a lot simpler, a lot smoother. We are going to focus primarily on driving for dollars. That's how DealMachine was founded. That's the heartbeat that we live on. We know that driving for dollar programs, driving for dollar leads are going to be less competition. They're going to be deeper margins. You're going to find that person who I always say is on like that pre foreclosure list, or that pre vacancy, or the pre fill in the blank, right? So that's the cool part about driving for dollars. To understand where we are and where we came from, I just want to give you a brief overall of kind of what we're going to talk about tonight, and then kind of David and how he founded the company, and then we'll jump into the meat of it. So we're going to find those deeply discounted deals. Like I said, this webinar is going to be for some people, and it's not going to be for everybody. You know, real estate investing just in general isn't for everybody. What we are looking for are people who are interested in getting started, or they're looking for less competition. They're trying to buy right in the crazy markets that keep changing, or they're just looking to add another avenue of leads. Okay. Who we're not looking for people who don't want to be proactive. It's super easy, and it's also super easy to just sit on your couch and watch Netflix all night, right? We also need to make sure you're committed to taking the actions. So before I got into this role of working with companies and doing a lot of these presentations, I did one-to-one presentations with DealMachine and our members across the country for years. And the biggest thing that I saw were people that would get fired up, they get super excited, then they'd say, I'm going to go do it. And then they wouldn't do anything, right? Like anything in life, if you just get excited for it and you don't take that action, nothing's going to happen. I don't know about you guys, but nothing really. Yep.
Yeah, procrastination is the killer of all motivation.
Yep. And it, you know, nothing really just falls into your lap. So it's important to kind of keep that in mind as we're going through this. It's super simple. It's just not easy. It takes the effort. A lot of people have lately been asking, hey, you know, why do I want to get into this now? It's a downturn, right? Interest rates are going up, quote unquote up, but they're still lower than historical rates, right? But we know that every so often, every couple decades, you get a sense of feeling like this where you can actually go out there and help and be more impactful as an investor. You're going to be more valuable for the people that are in a tough situation. You know, they can't get out of their mortgage, they can't get out of the house because they owe too much, or whatever the case may be. That's where investors come. I think it's really important to think, you know, as an investor, you're trying to help build your community, you're helping build a new culture in a new city. You're not just going in and taking grandma's house, which a lot of people kind of have that feeling of when you tell them that you're an investor, right? So most people, why don't they get started? They just don't know where to go or find a good deal. And we'll kind of show how David went through that struggle too. So David, he's our CEO and co-founder. He grew up in St. Louis. He met our other co-founder, Dave. So don't get confused with David and Dave. They worked together on a bunch of different things throughout high school and college. David moved to Indianapolis, had one of those awesome software engineering jobs where he was in a basement, no windows, no real interaction, and just thought to himself, oh, great. How can I get out of this? How can I retire faster? He met his manager who had a very small portfolio, and the guy said, well, David, you missed out. You should have been around in 08. After that, I was able to buy my houses. Good luck buying a house. You won't be able to afford anything. So David decided at that point, he's going to start just kind of investigating and doing his own work. First, he decided, I'm going to go to the market. I have some money saved up. I'm going to jump on the market. I'm just going to buy a house. Quickly realized that it was way too expensive. There were too many properties out there. He couldn't afford anything that he wanted to live in because he wanted to live in it and kind of rent it out, take that hack. And he just didn't know what to do with the on-market stuff. So he just kind of failed on that. The second one is he decided to buy a big absentee owner list from a company, and then he did the handwritten letters and he sent them all out to everyone. Everybody got one piece of mail. It was amazing, and he got 0 phone calls from it. So then he's like, well, that's not going to work, right? So he heard at a meetup about this old school notion of driving for dollars. For those of you that don't know, driving for dollars is literally driving around your neighborhoods, driving around your towns, looking at properties that need fixed up or that catch your eye on the visual buy box, writing down those property addresses, then figuring out who owns them, figuring out how to get a hold of them, and then hopefully buying the property off market. I did have a member of ours the other day. She reached out. She said, Oak, I'm having a really hard time with your platform. I was like, what's going on? She said, how do you know which one of these people want to sell their houses? I said, well, that's the thing, you don't, right? They don't even know they want to sell their house sometimes. So that's why we give you the data and the information, and you go out and try and contact them. She was new, she was learning, but it was one of those things that kind of clicked in her head at that point. She was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. I was really confused. So I like to put that out there. This isn't something where we're going to show you a secret list of people that are off market and wanting to sell their house. This is truly a list of, you create it, you see a property you like, we give you the data, then you go out and you you try and get them to sell their house. So
Can I
like I
just
said,
add
everybody,
something, Oak?
yeah, go for it.
If you go back to that screen before, I just want to add, deals are created, and how do you find them? Like you're saying, is driving for dollars, whether it's high grass, a vacancy, or maybe some type of a foreclosure notice on their windows. Maybe you see a dumpster in the driveway. So that's how deals are created, looking for somebody's downtrodden issues and try to create these properties for you to buy.
Yep. Yeah, and it's really one
You
of those
know,
things where, go ahead.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're
I'd
fine.
say uncertainty, because I saw your screen before. I just want to add uncertainty creates opportunity, and that's the market that we're in now. Better to buy at high interest rates and still when prices are decreasing when they are compared to 2 years ago when prices were increasing dramatically 5, 10, 20, 30%, and you had a lower rate. So it is, it's a great method of driving for dollars. You're looking for those people who have whatever issues, and maybe you're going to find an abandoned property, a vacant listing, an absentee landlord. So I just want to, add to that with the driving for dollars.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of those things where you'll be able to see, literally if there's a tree on the house, that's going to be something you can work with. Or if there's been a fire, when they work with insurance, if they have insurance, right, it's typically easier since they already got their money. We'll go into some other tips here in a bit, but the coolest thing about driving for dollars is all of us could sit behind a computer and put in our same non-visual motivators, right? If we want absentee owners, certain age of a home, certain zip code, like we could get the exact same list when we go out and buy a list. All of us could sit in a big van. We could take a bus around all of Indianapolis, and all of us could mark down different properties that we like, driving the exact same roads. And we're going to have similar lists, but they're not going to be identical. So that's where your competition gets lower. That's where you're not competing with everyone and you see something that maybe no one else sees, right? You're the one that saw that little gutter kind of dangling on the back end corner, and that's what made you call them, right? Or the grass just looked a little too not as manicured as everyone else around them. So keep that in mind. The biggest failure that people do with driving for dollars, I'll just jump to this. It's usually later, but we're on it. Don't go to the worst part of town. Don't go to the place where you can get a free lot or you buy a lot for $100, but then you got to put a brand new house on it and they're selling houses for 20 grand. Okay. That's going to be your biggest failure. People will waste their time trying to get those homes and it's hard. You don't want to be the first one on the up and coming, but if you got your ear to the ground and it's up and coming, then you can figure it out. But that's where I see a lot of people kind of just waste their time is marketing to these houses where there's really no margin for them. Okay, just keep that in mind. Going back to the third failure David had, I mentioned he bought that list. He wrote all the letters out and he sent them all one beautiful yellow bright letter. That's all he did. He didn't do any follow-up. So David failed by going on the market. He realized he couldn't just buy a list and he didn't have any follow-up. So he's trying to figure out, how can I get all this to actually work for me? Well, one day he was driving by this house, and this happened to be one of his first deals. He sent, I think it was like 10 postcards to this person. He finally had a phone conversation. It got very, in David's world, not very good, just because he felt like he was going to be making this super low ball offer. I think this was the house that he bought for $5,000, if I remember correctly. And he was afraid to tell the owner that he was going to offer $5,000. The owner smiled. He said, "Thank you so much. I can take this. I can get rid of this. I can get out of it." And then David turned that house into this house. He even saved money by running all the wiring himself. He said, "I could figure it out." And this was the first flip that David did. He went on to do a couple more. Obviously, his portfolio is still growing. I think he has done a handful of wholesales. He does mostly buy and holds. I think he's up to about 10 or 12 properties on the buy and hold side. But that's what, he likes to always kind of say, it went from here to here, and I even ran the wiring on my own. So David's follow-up method didn't work because he didn't have a follow-up method. He also lost the property because he was driving, and he did the old school driving for dollars. He'd write it down on a legal pad, put it on his front seat, and then he'd never take it in the house to figure out who owned the property, right? It would just sit there for days and days. So one day he's driving back to work and he sees a house that he liked. It was on his list and the house was getting worked on. So he'd missed out, right? He went back to his notes. He actually never sent him anything. But he did realize after looking at the county records, he could have offered more. than what they got on the purchase of the house. So he really felt like he missed out, and it really kind of got him fired up. So he learned that the best deals come direct to seller, which is that one that we saw. And then he also learned he needed some sort of system that would allow him to talk to many, many people who might be able to sell at a discount. So he needed to find those off-market deals to get in touch. He needed to find the off-market property information so he can get in touch with the owners to get the off-market deals. And this is the first view of DealMachine. As you can see, it has a picture of the house. It shows you the address, it shows you the owner, and it shows you that he's sending mail. And that's it. Pretty simple, right? What DealMachine does is you put the property information in, and it pulls it all at once. And you're driving around with the app, and I'll show you here in a second, and you click on a property, and it just pulls all the information in for you. So that's what DealMachine does. We can set up skip tracing if you want to skip within the system, and you can even send mail and set it up on a drip campaign. You can send it once every day if you wanted to, right? So those are all pass-through costs. Obviously, your marketing budget depends on that, but that's something that it allows you to do. This is just a couple other screenshots of it. So DealMachine grew, and now we want to give everyone the power of real estate investing. That's our goal. If you have questions about DealMachine, here's some reviews. Check us out on the apps. What I always say when you go to the App Store, look at our reviews and then look at our recent releases. And then if you're wanting to compare us to somebody else, go for it. Just always do your due diligence on that. You'll see that we do a lot of different releases, not just bug fixes and stuff like that. And we do it on a cadence. We're not just doing it willy-nilly here and there. This is just a quick screen grab of Ryan Haywood. Ryan and David actually have a podcast now that they do together for beginner real estate investors. Ryan had zero experience in January 1 of 2020. We used to do 30-day challenges back then. He did a 30-day challenge, and within the first 17 days, he had a contract, and then he went on to do 70 plus deals all through DealMachine his first year. He's now well over 400 deals through DealMachine, and he's known as the savior of St. Joe. So his little area he's in, he goes into the county courthouse, he's doing whatever paperwork he's doing, and they're yelling at him, thanks for fixing up the neighborhood, Ryan, right? So he's truly improving his city that he lives in. So that's always important to kind of think, right? Now you're probably wondering, all right, I'll get to it. Where's the meat and the potatoes, right? So first we're going to talk about finding the right leads. So I'm going to switch over. If you have anything you want to interject, I'm going to switch over to my DealMachine account real quick.
I just want to say, everyone, if you decide to purchase it, we have their affiliate partner on our website. Now, our website address is expresscapitalfinancing.com. If you click on affiliate partners, you'll see DealMachine there where you can get a discount code. Just wanted to mention that to everybody.
And I will have two special offers for this presentation too, which you guys can take advantage of. Something simple, something when you're wanting to commit a little more, will help you out with that. So do you see my screen now?
Yep, we see it.
Awesome. So this is what DealMachine looks like. The cool thing is DealMachine will look the same on your phone and it'll look the same on your computer. I'm on my computer, obviously we're doing it here. If somebody could drop a zip code in the chat or the not the chat, the question and answer, the Q&A, that'd be great. I would like to do something a little more local to you guys. Like I said, nobody knows. I mean, we could look at stuff all the time in my area, but I'd rather do something close to you. John, 75034. Let's go there. 75034. All right, we're headed down to Texas. So as you can see, I'm sitting in Indiana. I'm going down to Texas. Your DealMachine membership is nationwide. You can go all over the country, even Alaska and Hawaii. We have information there. What you're doing when you're using DealMachine is you're grabbing the data of the property at your fingertips. So you don't have to go home. You don't have to look it up. It's going to be right there for you. So imagine we're on Main Street, and imagine you're driving down the street. You see this address, you see this property looks like you want it. You go ahead and add the property, and now it's going to give you all the information we can grab. It's going to tell you the county records, last sold date, sale price, assessed value, interest rate. It shows you all this information just by clicking that button. I got all that information, right? I can go on and do this for any property that I see as I'm driving down the road. Now, to show you a little bit different on the map, so we just see all these black dots. That means no action's been taken. These big blue dots are the ones I just clicked on and added to my deal machine. These little blue dots, that just means we have MLS data. So the data that we grab for MLS, we keep for 12 to, I think it's 12 months. It is pretty active. It is accurate. I've seen people list things in the morning and it's there when I'm doing a demo and they're wanting to poke holes in it, right? So it'll show you if it's expired, if it's recently sold, if it was failed, how long it was on the market, who the agent is. It'll give you all that information. So that's just one thing to do, is when you're kind of looking at the map, you get to see what that is. And you're probably thinking, all right, Oak, that's cool, but this doesn't help me when I'm sitting on my computer at home, right? Well, we actually do have a tool, and it is virtually driving. So now we're in Google Maps, and this is exactly what it would look like if you're on your phone in your car, right? You're just cruising down the street and you see a property you like. You're like, yep, that's the property I want. So I go ahead and add it, and then you just keep cruising down the street. So that is how you do the virtual driving. The one thing about virtual driving, like there's a house getting fixed up right there. We're only as good as Google. So if you notice, this photo was taken in March of 21. That's when that picture was taken. So this is a great example. If this house wasn't getting worked on, say none of the lows was showing, it was just a rundown home with some holes in it, you could look at it and say, all right, this house picture was taken in 2021, so 2 years ago, right? So then you look at it and you say, when was the last time it was purchased? Then you kind of put your detective hat on and say, is this worth my time now? So the picture was taken in 21. Say last time was purchased was, I don't know, 15. Odds are the house probably still looks like that, right? So that might be a good target for you. In this case, the picture was taken in 21. The last time it was purchased was 22. So that wouldn't be a property we'd want to waste our marketing budget on, most likely, right? Unless you had some sort of special, buy box where you want to go after corporate owned properties with under 20% equity that were sold in the last year. Okay.
Can you go over that again, Oak? So why
So
wouldn't a person touch that June 22?
So it's really a personal preference. I wouldn't, because it was just sold in June 22 and they were working on this in March of 21. So it's probably a fresh rehab. It's a corporate owned property.
No equity in there.
There's 14% equity in there. I mean, if it fits your buy box and you want to go for it, right? But just kind of putting on your detective hat, you got to figure out, okay, is this something that I want to go after? So you have to do that more when you're virtually driving versus physical, because if you were to drive by this house right now, it wouldn't look like that. You won't see the guys out there working on it, right? Because this picture's 2 years old. I hope they're not still working on it. So as you can see, if you're cruising down the street, that'll just kind of help you see what properties you want to go for. Now, this is a good example. So this is an absentee owner. We know Ted owns it. So when you add the property, it'll tell you what their mailing address is on county with the on record with the county. So we see this address is on 5th Street. He lives on Cottonwood, different city. So you're like, all right, well, how do I get a hold of Ted? Well, you can skip trace right in the system, and then it's going to pop out any kind of information we have on Ted when it comes to phone numbers, email addresses. It gave us yet another mailing address. So probably another property he owns or has lived at recently. All of our phone numbers are scrubbed against the do not call list. So you'll know if they're on the DNC, if they're a known litigator. And then we also give you little marks like this is likely to connect. This is very likely to connect. This isn't, that sort of stuff. So we give you some opportunity to kind of, do your pecking order when it comes to phone numbers. Tell you if it's a landline, if it's a mobile. We also pull email addresses so you can see, this was a valid and verified deliverable last time that was used within the system. So that's how, if you're sitting out in front of a property, you like it, you can skip it right in the driveway. You can call them up, say, hey, I'm sitting outside the house, get some information going that way and talk to you. Jay, I just saw your question. What do you mean by give us the data? So this is what I'm referring to when you click on a property, you get the data at your fingertips. I hope that helps. So when you're going through, you're driving, it just shows you right then and there, as you add the property, this is all the information that you have. So that's what I meant by that. So this is the driving. Um, like I said, it's pretty simple, right? It's super simple to concept. It's just not really easy to do. This lets you know this is a senior owner. So you'll see a lot of different data points on here, a lot of different information that you can then go and then decide what you want to do with it. Now, I do get this question a lot. Oh, well, how will I know where I've been? Well, on our pro plan and above, we do have route tracking. So you'll see this green line here. That's the drive I just took virtually. It'll show you physically when you do physical drives. If you have people on your team, it'll show everyone. The other thing too is people always ask, well, where do I go drive? So we talked about not wanting to go to the worst part of the neighborhood, the worst neighborhood in the town, right? But if you have very specific off-market goals, I'm sorry, non-visual goals, we actually can do what we call highlights in our system, where you tell the system what you're interested in non-visually, and it'll show you where those are. The easiest way for me to explain that, I'm going to show absentee owners because they're all over the world, right? They're super easy to show. But you could go through and create a highlight using all of the filters that we have. The sell by date, the type of house it is. You know, is it a multifamily? Is it single residential? Is it a garage? Is it a parking lot? Like whatever you want to look at, you can create these filters. Okay, I'm just going to show absentee because it shows it really easy. So you apply your filter, and then you're going to see all these red boxes pop up. So now as you are trying to figure out what part of town you want to spend your time in wisely, or if you're going to a certain appointment or you're going to a certain part of town, which way can I go? You can say, all right, well, maybe I want to do this because it's a little more dense over here and not so much over here. So you get that opportunity to do that. The other cool thing is when you're on our pro plan and above, you actually get route planning. So you could put in all your criteria. So I'd put in absentee owners for this. Then it would say, all right, you have 200 absentee owners in your area. Hit start, we'll take you to the first one. And it'll look at your location and then give you turn-by-turn directions on where you need to go to hit all your absentee owners, for example. So those are a couple ways that people can be a little more efficient with their time, make sure that they are doing what they need to do in terms of targeting properties that they want on their non-visual side, and then get into a visual side of things. The cool thing is you can actually set this up for your drivers if you have people driving for you. So depending on your plan, you can have a single plan with just you. You can have 3 or up to 300 drivers depending on the plan you have. You could say, hey, go ahead and add everything that has a red box on it, or don't add red. Red means stop, right? You could change the criteria to do whatever you want. So that's the cool thing about driving. It does follow you across the country. If I were to turn on my highlights and drive from New York to California, it'd show me all the properties that meet my criteria as I go. The other thing I get a lot of questions are, especially from people who are just doing land deals, they like this visual side of things, so they can see all the vacant land without properties on them. You still see your highlights, so it'll help you see those. It's a little more difficult when you have the satellite view on, but it does allow you to kind of look around and see what you're looking for when it comes, especially land. Land seems very popular right now for a lot of my groups, so I just like to throw that out to help you out. Other than that, that's kind of the driving in a nutshell. So I'm going to peruse the questions real quick to see if there's anything that has specific questions about driving. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
Yeah, I have a question. How does your emails work? Can you go over that again, Oak?
Yeah, so we don't have a call or email function created in the system, but when you get it, you're able to copy and paste it into the email system that you want to use it, just like the skip tracing. So you have a copy functionality. Where'd my guy go? So when I look at this, I have a little copy here.
Yes.
We don't have texting, a dialer, or any kind of email capabilities yet, but we do allow you to copy. And if you export all that, when I get to this next tab, all that data is going to be in the export tab too as well.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, you can do land. Ed, I just went over that. Jay, can I search the database in other ways than address? Right now, it's all address based. We are working on a record-based search where it's more of like the owner information instead of, but right now it's all based on the address. And then Bruce, yeah, you can export all of your leads out into your own database. We do have a CRM, which I'll go over right now, but you are able to export your leads and then just do them what you want. Shea, multiple users for account. Yeah, so your VA can have an access as well, depending on your login or depending on your plan scenario. We have a lot of people with VAs that just have them do virtual driving and follow-ups and that sort of thing. So I think I got all the questions.
I'll go over the questions after if you want.
Yeah.
If you want.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. Sometimes when I switch over, I kind of lose track of what I was talking about on the other stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So after you add the properties, we showed how you could do some of that within the app as you're going, but this is actually the leads tab. So this is your CRM, this is your hub, this is where all your information goes. You can change the columns that you see. We have a lot of different information. You get to pick what you want to see. I just kind of keep it easy. I don't care about a bunch of stuff. I just want to be able to show it. So it'll show you how the property was added, if it was driving for dollars, if it was a list you built, the standard property type, any equity, if they're in foreclosure, all this stuff. So you come here and you look at it and say that you did call this guy. You can actually leave a note, and you can leave a note and you can at somebody on your team so that when they get in, they're able to see. So if you're VAs, you can at your VAs so that way they can see what's going on with the property. They can at you back and give you a task to do. You can attach files. It's all going to be there for your task management, which is really cool. So if you don't have a CRM yet, because you're just getting started, this will be a great one for you to just kind of get your feet wet. It will allow you to keep all the notes and keep track of everything. It also allows you to pull comps in the area. We do some default, but you can actually filter out your comps based on your own criteria. We just kind of do some general rule of thumb comps. But if you want to go back, the last year, you could do that and it would just show you everything. When you're looking at your average value, the square footage, sale price, if you kick out properties that don't really meet your criteria, it'll change all that information for you. So it gives you comps on the fly. A lot of people that I've met when we do get started, when we started with comps, they were like, well, I have MLS data, and I have MLS access. I just want to use that. But then they realized if they were using us, they're getting the same information because we're pulling MLS data if you want to pull it. But it's also just right there in the app. They don't have to log back out and move things around and remember the address. So that's pretty cool. You can do that within the system as well. And then we have our mail system. So this is where I was talking about how David sent out a letter to everyone and thought he was just going to rake it in. He forgot it's going to take 7 to 12 touch points before you get any kind of response, right? So he wanted to create something that was going to be super simple for him to just kind of set it and forget it. So we have our mail sequences. So this just allows you to create different drip campaigns. You can add as many steps as you want. You can send them out in different intervals. You can change up the postcard. You can do all that in here. And then once you put a once you put a property on that plan, it'll run it until either you get a return to sender. So if it comes back in the mail, says return to sender, it shuts off all the future mails. If you change the status to like appointment or trash or whatever, it changes all that. So you don't keep wasting your marketing dollars on people you don't want to send mail to.
So DealMachine is actually printing these little brochures, these mailers?
We have 3 different suppliers that we use. So once you hit start mail, within 2 hours, it's printed by one of our suppliers, and then it's in the hands of the USPS.
Got it. Okay, so these investors don't have to go to a printing shop and start printing them and mailing them out, bulk mailing them themselves. Okay,
no.
That's good to know.
And all of our pricing is based off one or multiple mails. There's no limits. There's no minimums. So if you just want to say you do have your favorite mail house and you don't want to do it through us, but you do have that one where I just want to send one real quick. You can just send one. So that's the beauty of it. There's no limitations to it. If you are doing massive amounts like 10 grand plus a month in mail, then you can talk to your client success manager and they can work out some pricing for you for special plans like that. We don't have a lot of people doing huge, massive amounts of mail. Our mail cost is really more of a pass-through cost. We don't make money off mail, really. It's just something to make it simple and easy for everyone.
But the pricing will be there for the client to see, I'm sure, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's based on your plan. So when you look at our pricing, it'll let you know what it is. And then before you send it, it'll tell you, hey, you're getting ready to spend $30 a mail. Are you okay with that? You're getting ready to spend $5,000 a mail. Are you okay with that? So it gives you a heads up. Even when you skip trace, it'll tell you if you're going to do more than one. It'll tell you what the cost is.
Does DealMachine? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
does David or DealMachine like say send out a separate mailer to a separate county? Just like to diversify and see what works at all. Like is that an option?
You can send out different mailers based on however you want to send them. So I always tell people when they're trying to figure out which mail piece to use, as you can see, there's a bunch of different preset ones that you can create your own. I always tell them do an A/B test. Send a couple hundred with this one, send a couple hundred with that one. It takes a little setup work on your end to set up your postcard and your sequences, but you could send a different piece of mail to everyone if you wanted to. Did that answer your question?
No, it does. It does. Very helpful.
So yeah, so we have a couple different postcards. This is just showing you how ridiculous you can make it. It's something totally that you can do. We also have access to ballpoint marketing where they do the handwritten letters with the computer and the pen, and then they put it on a stamped envelope. So it kind of kicks out. What I always suggest doing is if you're going to go that route, because it is more expensive, you use that for touch point like 4, 5, 6 kind of scenario. People ask me often about marketing strategy. It depends on it. It's a cliche, but it's time or money, right? Do you have money to send out mail to everybody for the first touch, or do you have time to skip trace and then cold call everybody? I like more immediate results is what I say. So like cold calling, texting, get all that done, and then you send mail as like your third or fourth touch point, fifth touch point, something like that, and then come back to the cold calling and texting. Just because if it's a lot cheaper to skip trace and dial on your phone, right, than it is to send mail to everyone. So hopefully your mail gets smaller and you've already gotten some answers. So that's why I suggest that.
And just to add to it, for the folks who are new and getting started into real estate, skip tracing is finding out who the owner is, their name, their actual address where they live, their phone number, their email. So you could actually, like he's saying, cold call and talk to them and see if they're looking to sell their property.
Yeah, so that's the cool part. You get that access, and then you can kind of determine, all right, now am I going to mail, 50 people or 500 people, right? So that just kind of keeps your costs down. Is the way I look at it. So this is the mail. You get to set it all up in your leads tab. It'll tell you. Let me see. It'll tell you how many times you've mailed them, what mail campaign they're on. I hit filter, so we'll see what takes. How long that takes. I have 29,000 leads. Of the 29,000, this is something a lot of people ask. I have over 5,000 that have new data. So we get data daily. So our data provider gives us updated data every day. If your county's 6 months behind in reporting, it's going to be 6 months behind, right? But we grab data daily. That tells me that since I've added these properties, 5,000 of them have an update. It's typically a sale date, an owner type, equity, that kind of stuff. So I could go through and I could actually review them and say, yeah, I want to keep this. No, I don't want to keep this. And that'll just keep updating. The other thing too, and I hit load, so it's going to take forever. We actually have list stacking over here. You see a 0, a 2, a 3. It'll go through and just tell you a 4, how many lists that property is on. Now, a list can be created through driving. So your driving list, a list can be created by you importing a list from another source. So if you have like a divorce attorney or a utility connection or something like that, right? Our list builder. So if you do just build a general list like absentee owners, zip code 123, and then you want high equity, zip code 123, and then you want whatever, zip code 123. So it's saying, hey, this property is on 3 of your lists. So you should probably, pay attention to it. It can get up as high as however many lists you have. I think I have some that are on like 11 and 12 lists because I just keep pulling different things. Our list builder, we'll just touch briefly on that. That's a traditional list building service. You pick your zip code, you pick your area, you tell it what non-visual motivators you want, then it pops out a list for you. So it's just a traditional list builder. The only cool thing, there's a lot of cool things to it. I shouldn't say the only cool thing. One of the things I really enjoy is that we do have the opportunity to really draw out a specific location that you want to pull your list from, because you just know that everything else isn't worth your time. So you could actually just pull properties in this polygon that you created. You can, truly make sure you're on the right side of the tracks is what I always hear. And then you could say, you want vacant properties in that little polygon, and it'll tell you there's no leads in that area. So there's nothing vacant there. You can move it around and keep looking. Then you hit build and it puts in your system.
Does this system also work on multifamily and commercial properties as well?
Yes. So the way that I like to set us apart, what's the big multifamily, like CoStar or something like that?
Yes.
So they're the top, right? They're really good at what they do. Our multifamily and commercial stuff works for more that medium to small size multifamily. That's where I've seen the most success when I have people that do use us for it. We do have information on any piece of property. So if I have people that use us for like storage units, mobile homes, they use us for just like I said earlier, vacant land. You could do it for agriculture. You could do it for anything. But when it comes to the really big multifamily stuff, we do get some data, but our skip tracing is hard when it comes to like LLCs and corporate skip tracing because they pay a lot of money to hide. And our bread and butter, most of our members are single family members. So we want to invest the most into that. But I do have people that love us for it, and their neighbor could tell us that we're terrible for it. So I always say just try it out. You do get a 7-day free trial, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But that is something that you do get access to. So yeah, this is where you go to manipulate all your leads. You can do bulk actions. You could start mail for everyone. You could edit them. You could do all that right here. So again, if you're brand new to real estate investing and you're kind of looking at all these different tools, we're hoping that we're able to take a couple logins away from you, save some money for you, so you don't have to have all these things. Some people who are doing 10 plus deals a month use us for everything. And then I have people that are doing 5 deals a year that say they don't like this part of it. They just want to use us for driving and kick everything over to a different system or do whatever. So we try to make it really simple for you to pick and choose what you want to use us for.
And how about rental comps? Does it provide any rental comps?
We do not provide rental comps at this time. That is one of the bigger things that I keep asking for. One of the ways we're kind of gotten around that, and I can't believe I forgot to talk about Alma, is we do have an AI now. So Alma is going to be on everybody's plan from pro and above. Alma is going to let you know pretty much how things can work in terms of analyzing a property, where to go, like resources to look for. Alma can't do anything actionable. You can't say, send this person a text message. You can ask it to write a text message. You can't say, call this person. You can't say, skip trace this. But you can ask, what should I say when I talk to a seller? That kind of stuff. So rental comps, let's just do an analyzed property for a buy and hold. And then it'll give us a little rundown on if this one random property in Terre Haute, Indiana is going to be a good buy and hold following the 1% rule. So this is telling me, can you see this okay? I don't know how well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's saying the 1% rule, based on the value of this home, it means that our rent needs to be at least $316 a month. Estimated rent for this property is actually just under $1,200. So yeah, it would be a good buy and hold for a rental property. So it does kind of give you those rental comps without giving you like, I know some of the other guys, I'll just say the other guys, they'll show you like rental comp on the main screen. You know what I mean? I think that's what you're asking. So this is a way to kind of get around that, and it will let you know. if it's a good property or not for that exit strategy.
Okay.
But yeah, so Alma's new. She's a couple weeks old, and you can just kind of ask her some cold prompts that we have, or you could just type in whatever you want in the message down here, and she'll say, I just do real estate, or this is an answer. So I'd always say, just kind of putz around and see what you like. But that's pretty much the demo side of things. Any other questions? So our playbook, I sometimes just get going and I forget to go back to the slides. Our playbook is you got to find the properties, right? So we talked about how to find those properties, what your visual cue is. The biggest thing that I'll say is people come to me and they say, "Oh, I'm having a hard time. I'm going after properties, but I'm not finding a lot." So then I ask, what are their motivators? And they'll list off a whole laundry list of things they want to have done, things they want, quote unquote, wrong with each property they add. I said, well, what if it just had one or two of those motivators? What would happen then? They said, well, I'd just have a lot more properties to add. Right. It's a numbers game. So, people will get a deal because, unfortunately grandma passed away and the new owners are somewhere not in Idaho, and you're driving through the neighborhood, and you notice the grass hasn't been mowed. So you send them a postcard. Well, what happened was they're living in another state. The person they hired to mow the grass just hasn't done it in a couple of weeks, and they don't know that, or they don't know what's going on. And then they're like, you know what? I'm tired of messing with this house. Yeah, please take it. Or they say, no, I'm good. Right. But at least you had that conversation versus, well, I needed it to have tall grass, a tarp on the roof, a wheelchair ramp, a window unit AC, and a tree growing out of the driveway. Like, you gotta give yourself a benefit of the doubt and have more and better numbers to go after. So that's the one thing I'll say. So you got to find the right property. The second one is you got to market to the property. Marketing to the property, you got the long term and the short term, right? Long term is going to be more of your mail. Short term is going to be your texting, your cold calling, your door knocking, which if you're comfortable door knocking, that's a huge advantage. So it really gets you to talk to who's in the house, even if it's an absentee owned house. You can get the tenant on your side, help them out. Say, if I buy the house, I can give you a couple $100 or however that works in your market. So that's important. And then finally, you just got to talk to them and close the deal, right? We do have some resources when it comes to cold call scripts and texting, as you see. Alma's really good at giving you other resources, how to find better cold calling, coaches, if you need help with that, Alma can send you in a couple directions for that. But really the biggest thing to keep in mind, you got to be honest and transparent with the people that you're hoping to buy their house from, right? You don't have to say, I have zero money in my pocket. I'm a new wholesaler. I'm just trying this out. You can say, hey, I'm a new wholesaler. I'm just getting started. If the property doesn't fit for me, is it okay if I give it to one of my other investor friends? That's something I say a lot. And the people that want to sell their house or get a quote, they're like, yeah, like, if you can't buy it, somebody please buy my house, right? So that's how you kind of get that buy-in on me playing that middleman to give them their house to somebody else. So the biggest thing is, if you don't know the answer, just say, hey, I don't know that answer. I'll get back to you. Give them a time of when you're going to get back to them. And then make sure that you stick with your word. If you say, I'm going to call you by 2:00 on Thursday, call by 2:00 on Thursday. People would much rather you say, I don't know, let me find out, instead of try to blow some smoke at them and get it figured out that way. So that's essentially our playbook. Keep that in mind. The biggest thing I just can't stress enough, that if you don't take any action, nothing's going to happen. Like, nothing will happen because there's nothing to happen, right? So you have to take the action. You have to move forward. You have to add the properties. You have to call the people. You have to do that. So to close real quick, I'll show you the two special offers we have for the community. The first one is you get a 7-day free trial if you use this promo code, dealmachine.com/oak, and then we give you $40 marketing credits. So it's an additional amount of marketing credits than your standard benefit. So you guys get that. I got to do that manually. So if you do it all tonight while I'm sleeping, it's not going to get done until tomorrow morning. All right. But you do get 7 free days. So you could literally sign up for a 7-day free trial. You're going to get $40 in marketing credits in your deal machine. Then you could say, I want to cancel before my 7 days are over. And then you could send out over 200 skip traces. You could text and cold call and see what happens. right? You can trial any plan too. You don't have to trial our basic, our pro. You can even trial our top tier plan if you want. Just be prepared. If you don't cancel in 7 days, it is going to hit your credit card for the plan that you pick. So that's option number one. Option number two, for those that are wanting to take an additional commitment and do 12 months, we're going to give you access to our pro plan for 12 months, that list builder upgrade, and then $100 in marketing credits. And you're going to only pay $990 for that versus the $1,867. So this is the special plan that I have for you guys. It's DealMachine.com/ECF, or you can just go to these two QR codes or these two websites at the bottom, and that'll get you taken care of. So that's something I wanted to throw together for you guys tonight, just to help motivate you, give you a little one up. Seriously, the 7-day free trial, no strings attached. Sign up, go in right after you sign up and tell support you want to cancel before your 7 days. I'll see you signed up tomorrow morning when I get in the office, and I'll give you $40 in marketing credits, and you can try it out for free. So, and our beginner plans start at $59. So it's a really good deal there. You get 7 free days. And I have 5 minutes left. I went a little long. Apologize about that.
Again.
Yeah, I'm there. I see one additional question.
Oh.
Brittany asked about comps with the basic plan. Brittany, our comps come with our pro plan and above. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. You know, my email address, if you have any other needs or wants, it's oak@dealmachine.com. It's pretty simple. You know, we're just here to help you be successful. You know, we're just trying to be a tool for you. I always say, if you're trying to figure out between us and another guy, trial both of us. Do a week of us, a week of them.
Yeah.
Just give it a try. I literally have people that tell me I'm the bee's knees, and then 5 minutes later, I can talk to somebody from the same town, and they're telling me we're terrible on data. So it's all what you want to do with it, right?
You know, as a lender, I tell my investors, try 2 or 3 or 4 websites, see what works for them, see what doesn't work for them. You can always cancel. You know, yes, whether it's the data, whether it's the customer service or whatever, but you got to try it, and you got to spend money to make money. And this is what it's all about. I just want to say one thing: there is not going to be a property that's going to knock down anybody's door and say, "Hey, buy me. You're going to make 50, 100 grand." You got to spend the money. You got to spend time in the market. Don't time the market. And, you know, is this the right time, the wrong time? Nobody knows, but it's always the time to be buying. So you buy real estate and wait. You don't wait to buy real estate. So that's one thing I want to say. You know, if any more questions, Oak, if you're looking at the Q&A, let's see over here. So did you look at Brittany? Do you get comps with the basic? Did you answer that one? I'm sorry.
Yeah, our comps start with the pro plan and above. I believe that had been, and let me double check, because that was something that was being kicked back and forth. I'm pretty confident it's pro plan and above, but I just want to double check. Okay. If you go to DealMachine.com/pricing, it'll give you a breakdown of all of our plans. Gotcha. Nope, comps are on starter plan. Sorry.
Okay. And I put my information for everybody there, phone number, website. If anybody has any questions, we are real estate lenders. We can help you buy, purchase properties, whether you're looking to do a rehab, a BRRRR, or a strict acquisition. We could do any city, any state, and any property type, not just the 1 to 4s. We're a family operating business, been around for 13 years, and our goal is to build relationships with real investors like yourself so you could obtain massive wealth in real estate. Anybody have any more questions? Good. Okay. Oak, I thank you so much for your presentation. If anybody has any deals they want to run by me, give me a call tomorrow. I'd love to answer any questions about products, programs, and the deal numbers. Oak, thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate everyone. Thank you for having me. Happy deal finding out there. If you need anything, shoot me a text. I'm sorry, an email. Or if you're on Deal Machine, you can always chat with support. They're Class A. They'll take care of you.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a wonderful evening.
That's it.